Star Trek Picard has yet to engage. Well, that's being a little unfair. The second episode, Maps and Legends, it's similar to the first one in that it's not really all that bad. But this is coming after 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery and with their short treks and all that, none of which was any good. So by comparison, this looks like a masterpiece. But there's elements. It has a lot of praise or Easter eggs and homages to Star Trek, but it's still not quite Star Trek. In fact, the overall plot in a Star Trek series would have been wrapped up maybe in 2 episodes to have like a 2-parter, and that's that. A lot of this stuff drags on and is quite unnecessary. It with the possible exception of giving some amount of respect, I suppose, to the state that Picard is in. He's in retirement. He's longing for his younger years, and then here this adventure drops in his lap, and that's has a lot more to do with his motivation than just his loyalty to Data's memory and that sort of thing, which is also a powerful motivation here for him. But on the other hand, this is something he wants to be useful and meaningful again, and this is his chance to do that before he dies, because this is what another thing I was waiting for, because some of the elements that were leaked about what Bryan Fuller had intended, because this was his idea. He had discussed, they wanted to do several Star Trek series, not just the Discovery one and all that, and he pitched ideas for this, and his idea was this Picard series that would involve pretty much the plot that you're seeing here, but it would have involved, the whole thing with the Borg and all that, and that Data it was supposed to have been something that Data did. Here they're going with the story that Data never really came back, and that story, I think it was that Data, the download of Data's memories into B4 was successful, and basically Data was reborn in the form of B4. And so then he goes on through Starfleet, becomes Captain Data, and he's part of the rescue operation to salvage or save what's left of Romulans after the destruction of Romulus, which is always a problem. I mean, the Romulans, they had a fleet of Romulan ships. They had an empire, so that empire, I would assume, still exists. So they wouldn't need to be evacuated that much. They don't need to be relocated and have to live on Earth and all that type of stuff, or in an old bombed out Borg cube. They could, move to one of their colonies. They had a vast interstellar empire out there. They lose their home world. That's bad, but they could move on and still survive and still remain an empire, not be dependent on one of their old enemies. So I'm not sure what the explanation is. I did not read the Countdown comic book, so I don't know if they fleshed that out or not. Maybe they will through this series, but that part of it is a bit iffy for me in where we find the Romulans. And even in the apparent, as I recall it, the Bryan Fuller version was supposed to be that Data utilized Borg technology to save the Romulans, because it had to be done fast, and transporting them would be faster under the Romulans, something like that. And this became a dangerous thing, and that the Romulans were being infused in Borg technology, becoming Borg, or something along those lines. I can't even remember. Something like that. But still, it goes back to, why did the Romulans need to be rescued when they could have saved themselves? I don't understand that, unless it was just they were caught off guard by the sun going nova, and the Federation steps in to save them, and that happens. But nevertheless, they did try to save them, and they saved some, I guess, and Picard was part of that. And then the Federation, all of a sudden is no longer the Federation now. For whatever reason, that doesn't really explain. They give some argument here with Picard. There's a scene where he goes to the Commodore, I believe, and tries to convince her to let him be reinstated in Starfleet so that he can do this mission to seek out Daj's twin sister, we now know as Soji, who's living on the Borg cube, and that he would find her and all this sort of thing. and of course investigate this infiltration of these Romulan secret agents who did end up killing Dodge. And we find the whole plot is actually they're part of a secret police, even secret from the secret police of Romulus. And they're actively inside the Federation. Even they've got this Admiral Commodore O, I believe, who appears to be a Vulcan, but may actually be a Romulan. But they seem to insinuate, no, she is a Vulcan. She's just believes in the Romulan cause, I guess. And that she's really running the whole operation here, and she's got her agent who's disguised as a human being, but she's not. And it turns out her brother, Narek, who is now sleeping with Soji and seduced her to figure out what she's about and to try to find the nest of these android people that the Romulans despise because they're bigoted against androids. Just, yeah, this is part of the stupid stuff that it has, but plot-wise and just performance-wise, just it flows a lot better than Star Trek Discovery did. Although there's still too much damn lens flare in here. Jeez, Bad Robot, what is that? But yeah, the Romulans are just, whatever reason, are bigoted against androids, even though the big terrible android thing is what happened on Mars. And you get a flashback to that in this episode, where these rather Data looking androids, except they're all bald, just all of a sudden turn, and it clearly shows they were programmed to do it. And I'm guessing eventually Bruce Maddox will turn out to be the villain. He is referred to here. He was referred in the original as well. And he comes all the way back from the old Star Trek Next Generation episode in which the Federation attempted to seize Data as a piece of property. He wanted to dissect Data to figure out how you can make more and all this sort of stuff. And they went to Data refused, and they did a court case in which Data won. And he got his rights and everything. So really, a lot of this aspect is already, once again, his old material already covered through Star Trek, and pretty much rendering the entire plot of this series meaningless because it's already been covered. But, well, lacking in ideas, they're just going to retread all of that. Plus the idea of Data's daughter, well, yeah, been there, done that too. And much better, and they did it in one episode. How about that, huh? This was going to take, I don't know, 2 seasons maybe, so, but that being said, it does flow a little, fairly well. I can't say that I was constantly angry at it, even though there's a lot stupid about it. But the interesting aspect, back to Bryan Fuller, was this idea that Picard is discovering he's going to suffer from, I forget the name of the disease, but it was revealed in the final episode of Next Generation that he would develop this sort of bizarre, futuristic, sort of like Alzheimer's disease, but it was something different. And even Dr. Crusher examined him and said, well, there's a possible precursor condition in you that maybe you could develop it, but that's not certain. And so it was, something to think about for his future. Well, now here he is. He's an old man, and he meets a doctor he knew from his Stargazer days, and he reveals to him, yeah, you got it. He doesn't say it's that disease, but he's got something, and that there's really not much hope. He's going to deteriorate in it and die from it. So Picard's like, well, the hell with that then. I'm going to go on this last mission, and if it kills me, great, because I don't particularly want to die like that. So more motivation for Picard to do what he's doing, and that actually fits quite well. It's one of the good aspects of it, in that they actually do. A lot of this still does refer to Star Trek. It doesn't quite feel like Star Trek, but when they said this isn't a sequel to Next Generation, well, for all intents and purposes, for the most part, it is, at least in these early episodes. We have 2. That might change dramatically as it gets rolling, but boy, it's taking a long time for Picard to get off the Earth. But he's on his way to get his Firefly crew going, and that's pretty much what I suspect is where it's going to go. But the interesting thing about his disease was that he might, in the Bryan Fuller aspect, was that he might find a possible cure for it, or treatment, if you will, by going back to Borg implants and Borg technology, which would be very hard for him considering what he went through when he became Locutus and all of that. Now, as far as that leading to reveal that both he and Data are the parents of Daj and Soji, now only Soji since Daj is gone, well, maybe they will throw that in there, but I don't know. I don't see it yet, but I wouldn't put it past them. But so far, sort of so good. But I don't trust these people. I know that if there's a way to mess this up, they will. It's already got a lot of stupid things in it and mistakes here and there. But overall, not so bad. So as good as you can expect from this crew. This is so far pretty good for 2 episodes. And plus, they've got Patrick Stewart, so that's going to go a long way. So, all right, there we go. Star Trek Picard, Maps and Legends. So far, so good, but I'm dubious they can maintain it. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe? And check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you, namely over at IndiePlanet.com, where you can pick up a copy of my comic book. Yes, that's right, a comic book adaptation of my audio plays concerning Night Knight. Only now, you can actually see him in the brilliant color within the pages of his comic book, Night Knight. So pick up your copy today. And you can listen to the Mr. Nailsin Show over at RadioMisfits.com. New episodes every Saturday. And you can also watch my videos over at BitChute. That's the Mr. Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.